back to Total Disclosure across all platforms where we explore the mysteries of the unknown. From sightings to conspiracy theories, we dive deep into the unexplained occurrences in our skies and on the ground. And if you're intrigued about the possibility of extraterrestrial life being here and in the cosmos, then you're in the right place. Today, we have a really fun guest with a huge insight into the military industrial complex, which is something I really am fascinated here with. And that's why I have the people I have on. Nancy Times is ex DOD official, and we're going to bring her in and welcome her to this Total Disclosure for the first time. Thank you, Nancy. I probably butchered your last name just because you said it to me like 3 times, and that's how I do it.
Yes, that's okay. My name is
Nancy
Nancy
Times.
Timms.
Tims.
That's okay.
Hey,
Yes, thank
Tim.
you for having me. I'm very happy to be here. This is a long-awaited event, and I think it's just the beginning of it. I don't know how long it's going to take, but we have to be in this for the long haul, regardless. And it's important. Every little bit of information, every person that we can touch, and also motivate to get involved is very important because we all need good information. We've got plenty of misinformation out here. So it's good that we get people out to tell the truth, and just spread the word and let people know that they are a part of this because in my opinion, humanity is the disclosure.
Yeah.
And that's because we're going through an evolutionary phase of waking up and going through an ascension. And I think we're finally understanding who we truly are. And by the time we get to the end of this ascension and evolutionary phase, it won't matter whether the government tells us or not. They've told us enough already, in my opinion. But the world wants more, of course. But if there's enough evidence out there with doesn't take a lot of intelligence to understand that they've told us enough and we have to do a little homework ourselves. And the way I understand it is humanity waking up and finally becoming more intelligent and more conscious about these things, more aware, and our ability to see more things in the sky will increase. And
Right.
that's going to answer a lot of the questions and take a lot of it off the government.
Well, it's kind of weird you mentioned that. It's almost a synchronicity. Yeah, it is a synchronicity
Yeah.
because I've, recently, especially recently with the geopolitical landscape, things being tense and, a huge, I can't even stress the fact of the monumental election that is that
Yes.
is in upcoming in the upcoming months is it's going to shape the way we the world, which way we go, and
Exactly.
I think that even though disclosure and UFOs and the ET agenda wasn't brought up in say the debates or hasn't been a main focus of any of the parties, that's not to say that behind closed doors it isn't, because
Exactly.
I think it absolutely is,
Oh, it has to
and
be.
it has to be.
Mhm.
You've been what I didn't say in your intro is you've also had a lifelong contact
Yes.
experience. So you not only are you an ex DoD official, but you've also had a lifelong experience with some sort of non-human intelligence. And I really want to get into that. And of course, we'll get into, time for disclosure and what you're doing and all that, and all the great stuff that you're doing now. But I want to really get a look into Nancy Timms, the person who is the experiencer. Now,
Yeah.
maybe start from the beginning for
Okay.
anyone who doesn't know you.
Okay. I'm a lifelong contactee with interdimensional beings and extraterrestrials. Not only am I a experience or contactee, but I'm also in the extraterrestrial realm. I am a representative of Earth. I am a person that they have been with all my life. I'm 64 years old now, and this has been going on. My first conscious memories are at 2 or 3, and they have been with me and followed me throughout my life with physical contact. And when I say that, I mean like holding hands, touching skin, um, embracing each other, face to face conversations. So not only do they have they watched me and prepared me for this day to get me to be to where I am today to be able to speak to people, but they also have a pretty good idea of what it's like to be a human being through my eyes and through other people's eyes like me that have done the same thing. So what I have found out through the process of just having my visitations, and I learned how to have more conscious time with them, because I found out very quickly throughout the years that because of them being telepathic, they whatever we feel, they feel tenfold the amount. And feelings of anxiety and fear, sadness, any of these type feelings, in their reality, they do not experience this. So when they sense this and feel this from us, this is not something they enjoy. They don't know what to do with it. They don't like it, to be honest with you. They just don't like it. So they will either consciously tap you out or do it or touch your head and put you in a non emotional state. And that way you can fully go through the experience. But the only problem with that is you lose all the emotions, but you can still function and go through it. But when you come back, this is where people talk about having missing time or fragmented memories, because they really just don't like being around all this fear and all this stuff. So they just tap you right out. And so, and a lot of times, even with me, I can remember after the experience coming back conscious while walking to the bed and them holding me, getting me put in the bed. And it's like, wow, what did I miss? And that's what I missed, was the part where I was so afraid. And because of me being so afraid, they blacked me out. So
do you think that you think that that is what is the they're experiencing are anxieties on a
yeah.
personal level, and they've evolved past that
Oh,
kind of
in
do you
their
think that
reality, there is no wars. There is no negativity.
Ad read Herbals Biomind. Introducing the ultimate cognitive enhancement solution, Biomind. Today's video is exclusively brought to you by our sponsor, Dept Herbals. Unlock your brain's full potential with a powerful blend of 9 meticulously selected plants and mushrooms, each backed by peer-reviewed research for their cognitive boosting benefits and safety. Dept Herbals formula combines organic full-spectrum powders and potent standardized extracts, ensuring that you receive the optimal concentration of each ingredient's cognitive enhancing compound, carefully selecting the most desirable parts of each plant and mushroom to create a harmonious blend that supports your mental clarity and focus. But that's not all. They infuse each bottle with personal intention of improving the lives, the minds, and overall greatness of each of their customers. Because of their commitment to your well-being every step of the way, you're going to get an exclusive 25% off your order via www.dentyaherbals.com using our code Total Disclosure at checkout. All the links will be in the description or on the screen.
They showed me what we're doing. We're going up a DNA ladder. They are a billion years ahead of us in evolution. They've been through the ladder, and they've seen other species beings go through this same process. This is not their first rodeo when it comes to
an ascension
and evolution and all this kind of stuff. And they basically have been waiting for us to reach this point, and we're at the peak point right now. we're at the peak point. Not
Right.
only are we ascending and leaving kind of the 3D realm, we're accelerating and moving up into the fourth or fifth. So, and as that happens, these are not physical places that we're going, they are higher levels of consciousness.
And
So,
that's
yes, so
it
our
goes with what
awareness, our standing will be better.
sorry, I didn't mean to
It's okay.
the internet kinda that's what people don't understand sometimes about doing virtual interviews is sometimes the internet will affect, and it'll make you overlap each other, but what I was gonna say is, I've had this theory, and you kind of said it without saying it, is that they've almost evolved past in order to get to this place of evolution or ascension that is required, you need to leave behind things like war, conflict, because those things, I mean, they're just so destructive in their nature. I mean, we literally are, look at our technology. Our technology is almost a representation of humanity. It's combustible engines.
Mhm.
Um, it's controlled explosions and fire and it's just very primitive and chaotic.
Yes,
But
it's
when we think of these higher beings or these UFOs or whatever, we think of just blissful peace. And that's a common theme
yeah,
among experiencers
yes,
is when they're with them is this very peaceful
yeah.
environment. Um,
Exactly. That
so
they, the way that they see us, we are one and we are all connected. And that includes not only us with our planet Earth, and we need to recognize the fact that our planet is a living conscious being.
yeah,
All of the creatures on our planet are living conscious beings. So our planet and all living conscious beings, plants, trees, water, air, etc., they have all been sitting around waiting for human beings to catch up and understand our connections, recognize our appreciation for them and our existence, because we were all put here to support each other. And not only that, but that extends out into the cosmic realm, our connection with the universe and with extraterrestrials and interdimensionals, because we are all one and we are all connected. And whatever we do on this planet, especially misusing our environment, playing with nuclear technology and stuff,
I was
whatever we do, it not only could wipe us out in our planet Earth that's beautiful and all living things on it, including innocent bystanders, indigenous people, whales, reefs, etc. But it also would ripple into the universe and affect them. And they're not going to let us do that, because we think we're the top dogs and we're all that Earth is all about us. But there's a lot of things that are alive and conscious beings on this planet that are just as important as we are. Yeah,
if not more.
exactly. So we have to go through this process of evolution in order to maintain our species for
It's
future
almost
generations. Yes,
it,
it's inevitable
it's
and it's
almost
happening.
it's almost like we're um we're a teenage boy and we think we're a man, right?
Yes,
And it's not till you get smacked around by someone a little stronger that you realize, oh,
your
oh wait,
vulnerabilities. Yeah,
yeah, that's not
yeah,
how okay, that's not how the world works.
right.
That's you know,
And in
you
our case,
find
we
your
say the
place.
universe, we've got to cooperate with the universe. It's not just our little planet, because our planet's not very happy with us.
No,
So, you know,
and isn't it funny that because we talk about the earth like as a place, but
yeah,
no, it's a thing in itself.
yes.
It's a reason that our ancestors had names for it, like Gaia, and
Hmm.
because it's the life giver. it
Yes,
is it gave
yes.
us the place. And people religious, I don't know about where your religious
I'm
views
spiritual. I'm not
lie.
religious.
Right. but I think we are very blind when we are overly religious because
Yes.
we it's ingrained into us into these religious views that we are the top, that we are to be held in this regard, and
Yeah.
that we are it, and that's not the case.
No,
And
it's not.
can you ca- can you bring me back to at least your first conscious experience with these beings, and why did they lead you on the path? Because you
Yeah.
ended up in the Department of Defense. That's
Yeah.
that's a that's a that's a that seems
Yeah.
like a deliberate thing. So
It
I would like to
was.
know
It
about that.
was. Everything in my life, they have instigated and opened doors and avenues. It's just like me sitting here right here with you.
Hmm.
These things are, they knew long before I was ever born that all this was going to happen here on earth. So what happened was when I was 30 years old, I witnessed my two sons being taken for their first time. And these were different beings that came for them that normally come for me. So when they did, I have the ability, I know when they're going to manifest in the room with me. My frequency changes. And for me, it's not what they look like. It is the frequency exchange between a human being and an extraterrestrial or interdimensional. We are at a very low frequency and they are at a much higher frequency. And the what you feel when you're face to face with them is incredible. It's between a euphoric high and extreme fear, all balled up in one.
Huh.
And your brain does not know what to do with this. It's like, whoa,
Am
because
I seeing this?
there's nothing like that else in the world. So that's why most people just bam, fear. And once fear sets in, they don't remember really anything else other than that. But the brain will try to fill in those missing gaps and pieces. And it's with the programming that they've received in their life, and it's like you said, from the minute we are born, we are programmed to think, to live and think a certain way. And so now we're at this point in time where we have to realize that we need new ways of thinking, new ways of living. Our world is changing. Earth is going through an ascension herself. Our world is changing. We are changing, and our old ways, these old programming ways, no longer serve humanity. Wars are of no service to humanity. Negativity is of no service to humanity. So as we go up our DNA ladder, just like the extraterrestrials and other races and beings have done throughout universes, different universes, these negative aspects of their species falls off because it just simply doesn't serve.
Hmm.
And they learn to come together as one in unity and work together. And that's what they're looking for us to do, is finally come together as one. And the problem has always been that dark forces have kept humanity separated for eons. And this goes way, way back in history. You know, uh,
Tell me.
separation of languages, separation of religions, separating us.
Striking down
Everything
the
was,
Tower of Babel.
yes, everything was done to keep humanity apart because
Factions.
these elites and people always knew that when we reach this point, and if we ever all come together as one, we're unstoppable.
There's no
There's no
limit.
going backwards. Once you start getting into the reaching higher frequencies,
And
it
what's gonna
feels
happen?
good.
Yeah,
What
I mean, and it really does
when you
make
start raising your frequency, you can feel it. To me, you know how people that run great distance and they say they get that adrenaline rush? This is
yes,
kind of like that. You get
right.
that unbelievable thing. It's like your body rewards you for good behavior. So
Yes.
you continue on that cycle and you eventually train yourself into seeing beautiful, positive thoughts rather than having the program negative thoughts. And what I would do is when I first would, naturally get these negative thoughts, I'd replace it with two positive. And so basically we have to work within. We individually have to work on ourselves, figure out who we are. For me, I am not the Nancy Timms that the world around me created. I am the Nancy Timms that came here. I found my soul self, my inner self, the one that came here with a purpose. I didn't come here to play the programmed game. I came here to educate people and end the game. It is time for humanity to start enjoying the human experience. Whether we remember it or not, we all made a choice to come to Earth and be a part of this. And we all chose to be here now. And we're all a part of this evolutionary phase that we're going through. And that's why I like to say we are the disclosure. Human beings are the disclosure. We are waking up, reaching higher levels of consciousness, and we're going to use our intelligence in different ways. We're going to learn to do things that help all of humanity, not just let these elites be in control and manipulate us. And they've showed me how we can use AI, because they just look at it. They told me AI is a man-made tool. We keep it as a man-made tool. We do not let certain fractions of government or elites only control that. It was made and intended for humanity.
Open
And there's
source.
ways that we can use it to better our lives. And it will not take away jobs, it will create new jobs. And it will also show us how we can work less hours and not focus so much on all of the material things, but learn to have more time with family. Yeah.
Yes, it'll take away. It'll, as I see it, artificial intelligence, I don't see as a bad thing. Um,
It
even as
depends on how it's used. Yeah.
right, it does depend on it. It is depending on how it's used and how it's developed.
Mhm.
Right, you're absolutely right. It needs to be
Yeah.
something that's open sourced, but you could say that about everything. Open source alternative energy. That will be the key to unlocking, um, the end of war and the end. So, do you think? I mean, do you? David Grush talks about how we've already solved that problem basically. If we're reverse engineering UFOs and we have that technology hidden in the military industrial complex, um, what why
Well,
what's stopping it from coming out on the battle or the
I don't
theater
think
of
we can. I don't think we can reverse their technology, and I'll tell you why. Their craft are living conscious beings. They have a
all
consciousness, and so their pilots are designed. Their DNA, they are created to be the pilot. They are bonded with that craft. Nobody else can fly it because they are bonded. So the pilot gets in, he or she, and thinks destination where they want to go, and their consciousness link up, and bam, they go. They don't use fuels and propulsion and
right,
things like that.
yeah,
And their technology, like for example, I'll give you an example. You and I are talking on technology. I'm on a laptop, you're on your computer, whatever. But our technology is a separate entity that we carry around with us. Okay.
right.
In
You're
their
saying that.
reality, in their reality, their consciousness is their technology, and they can manifest whatever they want with their higher consciousness, and they travel that way too.
So what are these? I had Danny Sheehan on the podcast, and
Hmm.
obviously you know who he is. He's
Yeah.
a renowned Harvard attorney.
Yep.
Um, he had mentioned that he knows of 5 different alien civilizations visiting Earth. Um, do, do you agree with that number?
Well, I'd say there's more than that. Where I go is to a mothership, and there's the interdimensionals.
Where you go
Yes,
specifically?
yes, I go to a mothership. I'm on a mothership, and there are many different races, and they're all working towards assisting and helping humanity. Okay. So the interdimensionals are 7 to 8 foot tall. They're luminescent. They have a few humanistic look, but they are not human. They are more like what people in the Bible days would call the shiny ones. Okay.
The sh
Kind of like that. Kind of
Oh,
like that.
so
Okay.
they glimmer.
Yeah. And so then there's the tall grays, there's different grays. I've met reptilians, I've met aquatic beings, I call them humanoid looking beings. I don't ask them, what are you? Because in that reality, they do not use names or labels. Everyone's frequency is their signature. And that's how they find me wherever I am, is through my frequency. I've lived in Australia, I've lived in Hawaii, I live in Mississippi now. Wherever I go, wherever I live, they find me through my frequency. And that's how I communicate with them, is through my consciousness and my frequency.
So
So
so what you're saying is we all have a what you would say is a cosmic signature?
yes,
Our whatever is
yes,
our resonant frequency?
it has a signature to it, but we can raise that frequency. We can raise it to a higher vibrational state, which gets us up closer to where they are. And that's what's happening. This is part of our evolution. We are the human species is escalating up into higher frequency. And that is going to make us not only more aware and see more, but it makes us a little more compatible with them too. Yeah.
So what is just why? Okay, we all say, or we're all waiting for the day that the Phoenix Lights happens, but it's in broad daylight. It's over Washington D.C.
Hmm.
and aliens come down and you know uh, introduce themselves with a handshake. Um, why are why isn't that happening? And
Because
why is abduction happening?
oh, the first question, because humans try to humanize everything. They are not human. Just because we do things certain way and we have our position, our mannerism or whatever, that does not apply to them. They are who they are. We are who we are. And we have got to stop trying to humanize everything, trying to name and label and all these things, because in their reality, they do not individualize. You know, they are all one, they are all connected. So, and that's the way they see us. And they are not here to put on a performance, they are not here to show off. So, that's another reason too, because they've manifested themselves in the craft to me. And I would never just stop the car and go take pictures or anything, because I know through my connections with them, that was for me. That was not for the rest of the world, because the world needs to do their part on their own, work on themselves. And when we all start doing this, then they will open up more to us individually. So they're not going to do a performance, So we have to understand, um, they are a billion years ahead of us in evolution. Our physics does not apply. Our means of travel, propulsion, fuels, etc., our technology, which there is no separate entity for their technology. Their consciousness is there. It's all in one,
Right.
So there is no humanizing anything about them. And I think that's the government knows this. And that's why,
The secrecy?
yes, it has to be, because it would be in their best interest not to expose their vulnerabilities, because they have no control over it and there's nothing they can do about it. So,
Right.
but why would the United States let other foreign countries know what we know? Why show our vulnerabilities when really it's not a threat to us, but the fact that one country might, in other words, one country doesn't want to show its vulnerabilities to other countries and
Mhm.
also to its people, because who do we look to protect us and save us from everything? Our government.
Right. It's a
It's
quid
a,
pro quo between the
yes,
civilians and the government is I'll pay taxes, you protect us.
exactly.
That
So
is it. if you can't protect us, that's what I mean. And I was hoping you'd say,
Yes, but like, think
there's
about this too. Think about this. Okay. So if they know what I know, that we're going through an evolution, okay, and people's awareness, which means we will have more than just the five senses to understand the world around us. And I'm not saying this is going to happen overnight. It has to happen in a slow, beautiful, divine way, just like in our creation. Otherwise, it would overload our brains. We wouldn't be able to handle it.
so
But
almost like a butterfly. I
yes,
mean, a
yes,
caterpillar needing to
yes,
struggle in the cocoon.
yes, yes,
They
exactly.
can't just, if you rip open the cocoon early, you'll actually kill
Kill
the
it.
butterfly.
Exactly. It's exactly like that. So they're sitting back, letting, and this is what the extraterrestrials and interdimensionals say to me as I go out and speak. And, there's lots of times people, it just seems impossible to get through to them, but they always encourage me and say, let evolution do its job. Let it do its job. Continue on your path. Stay strong. Stick to, stick to what you're doing. But the world will start waking up because it's part of our evolution. And I'm sure that's what the government is doing too. If I know this, surely they know this. So
Right.
they're like, why go out here and say all this stuff and people run around acting retarded and crazy when evolution perhaps is going to help us with this? And our intelligence will help us to act more like human beings, because that's the whole thing. That's the whole key, is for us becoming the human beings we were created to be, and getting out of this 3D realm of negative ways and wars, blooming us up into, like the caterpillar, blooming us up into our new selves, our
Yeah.
new world, our new planet, and our new human beings with new ways of thinking and living.
In your time
Hmm.
with the government, were you ever did you ever I mean, did you tell anybody
No.
that did you kept your mouth shut?
Yes, I did.
So
So basically, the way I see that, I was the eyes looking at them.
so you were like a alien agent, double agent.
I know from, well, I don't think I got to it, but when I saw my two children, did I tell you I didn't
Well,
tell you?
you were telling me the story.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I witnessed my two sons being taken. Okay. So, and they were perfectly fine when we all woke up. Nothing, they didn't remember any of it because they were blacked out. But so I meditated when I got home from that trip. I meditated and asked them to please explain to me, because the fact that this wasn't just about me anymore, this involves my children. I wanted explanations. I was angry, mad, upset, the whole nine yards. And I don't pretend and say that I can call and conjure them. Plus, I would never do that. I've considered them family, and I know they're not here to impress. And I'm not here to impress anyone. I don't care what people think. So, but they did come on their time. They came, and the female gray that I'm bonded with, by the way, took me before a group of beings, and they presented me, and they were a group of elders, and these were interdimensionals from different races, representatives. And I asked them why this was happening to me and to my children. What was the purpose? What does it mean? I needed explained to me that before I was born, that I had made an agreement to come to earth and be part of the evolutionary process, and that when I get here, I wouldn't remember it, but they would be visiting me throughout my life, preparing me for what we're doing here today. And that's exactly what has happened. And even though at the time I was shaking my head, because I was Nancy Timms, I was a mother, I was a wife,
You didn't
I grew up in Tennessee. I live in Mississippi. My goodness, this doesn't make no sense. So I heard what they said, but it didn't connect with me at the time. And they did open up like a blue orb or a vision. And I saw myself as as a interdimensional etheric looking being and walking me through the process and going through, and I actually witnessed myself being born and coming into the earth. And I also, you know, so throughout my life, they would come to me and say things like, because it ended up, I ended up getting 2 divorces, fighting over kids, drama, drama, drama. And I would think, this is ridiculous. This, surely this is not what I signed up for, you know,
Right. Like, yeah, yeah. You telling me I picked this life?
yeah, yeah. And I'm like, this is it? Oh my gosh. And so, but then they would come to me and they would tell me, if it ever gets to be too much, you can always come home. And I'm like, what? You know, so yes, I heard it. I listened. Did it click and connect? No, it
What
did
does that
not.
mean?
So long story short, so finally throughout my life, things kept continuing and kept happening. And then finally, a little over 2 years ago, they finally gifted me a Kundalini awakening because I was getting
Ooh.
downloads for them, but I was questioning, I can't talk all of a sudden, where this information was coming from. So they opened my subconscious up into my human conscious to help me remember, because I was an interdimensional before I came to Earth. And I have made a choice to come here and be a part of this evolutionary process to help humanity understand we are not alone in the universe. And we are beautiful beings, and we are here at a very exciting time. We all made this choice and we're here for a reason. And it's because we're in an evolutionary process of becoming the human beings we were created to be. So through that Kundalini awakening, I was able to piece every single thing in my life, even working for the military. All this was, they pretty much instrumented all these things because I needed to experience these things. This is part of my evolution of being here on this planet. This is part of my experience. This is why I came here. And also my sons as well, especially my oldest son. They gave him a Kundalini awakening. He has all the same kind of experiences and things that I do and gets the downloads. But now, since that, I don't question what the information that they give me. Before I did. And I guess, I needed a boost or a bump in the butt, so to speak. So they did that, and it scared me to death. And I think
See,
more people will probably experience something like that. And I hope they know more about it than I did at the time, because it literally scared me to death.
I was gonna ask, you know, as a mother,
Mm,
to know that your children are a part of this, because your yourself is one thing,
yeah.
but thinking about your kids being taken,
Yep.
um, that could be something that makes you think you're crazy.
Exactly. But here's
Is
what
your
they told
are
me.
they open about these things?
Oh
Your
yeah, my
sons?
my son was at the symposium with
Yeah,
me,
you
and
were telling me.
yeah, he's big into all this stuff, and he's the one that sets up the webcam, makes the designs, and all this stuff. They are. This is a life family mission. This is our mission
Would
in
he be
life.
willing to talk to me one day?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We can do that today if you want. Yeah, but
All right.
anyway, what I'm saying is that now I've gotten off the track. I
I
forgot
got you
where we
off.
were.
I got you off track. But
Yeah.
so so it was all really guided for you, right?
Oh,
The
yes. Yeah, they instigated everything and put me in the right places, because what is the best way for them to understand what it's like to be a human being? Through my eyes, through my children's eyes. We are the eyes. So not only do we come to you and talk about them to humanity, but also we talk to them about humanity. And I they have given me like blue orbs to take, and I would take and represent and give like to the reptilian race or to different races. And this was earth essence. And what I'm saying is, we are valuable, we are worth your efforts, we are doing our part. So This is a big deal. It is a big deal.
How many
And
more?
every day I learn more and more about this and the importance of it and what it all means. But I can tell you this, every single human being on this planet is a part of this. We all chose to be here. We are all part of this. This is not about me. This is not about the United States or any country or anybody in ufology. This is a worldwide phenomenon and this is a worldwide deal. This is all of humanity waking up, figuring out who we truly are, our true origins, our purpose here on life. We are the generation the world and the universe has been waiting on to make the changes that we need so that we can continue on the human species for decades. Otherwise, if we stay in this realm that we're in and continue with our materialistic warlike ways, we are going to destroy ourselves or put ourselves in a very detrimental life ahead of us. But we can make these changes. We have the opportunity now, and we can have them to help us, assist us. They're not going to come down here and fix everything. We make our mistakes, we have to fix them. But as we ascend and get ourselves out of this 3D realm, I know. Remember what I was going to say to you, but they can help us. The more that we get out of this negative realm, the more that they will be able to help us. And what I was going to finish saying about how I felt about my sons being taken, sure, the human response is horrible, terrible, abduction, negative, negative. But here's the extraterrestrial perspective coming out of me. Okay,
Hmm.
just like I made choices to come here and be on earth, my sons made choices to come here and be on earth. We don't, just because they're our children, they have soul contracts and make decisions too before they get here. So we have to look, that's the problem with human beings. We think about what's happening right here, right now, and what pleases us up here. They see the big picture. We have to learn to start seeing the big picture and see things from a different perspective. And it's just like they could have come and got my two sons and I would have never known. They could have done that, but they wanted me to see it. It served a higher purpose. I didn't understand it for, say, 20 years, but now I do. And now I understand completely. It all makes sense. And it was done for a reason. But at the time, 20 years ago, whatever, I, I didn't understand it and I thought it was horrible. And I would have said, oh, abduction, blah, 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 demonic, da, da, da. So that's what I'm trying to let the world know.
Well,
Our
okay.
perceptions has a lot to do with our programming and our level of spiritual growth and understanding of the world around us. But we are now coming to a point to where all of these things are opening up and our levels of intelligence and awareness is changing and we're going to finally get the answers we want and we won't have to get it from the government, we won't have to get it from anybody. We're going to know within, we're going to learn to look within, remember who our soul selves are, think about how, why did I come here, what is my purpose here, am I here just to be a game piece or am I here to make the world a different place?
So,
And that's for humanity to decide individually. Yeah.
I want to tell you a story.
Okay.
Now, when I was younger, I had a UFO experience, um, but and then that's kind of what led me down this path of intrigue. I've always been the person who asked the existential questions and always wanted to know more about like um, h- how are we a species that doesn't know our own origin? What happens after death? Are we alone? I've always asked these questions and I've always, you know, but in 2021, I lost my mother to breast cancer and I was in the room when she departed and I I was looking at her. She was there alive. I looked down at my phone. It started buzzing in my pocket. I remember making the conscious decision it's not worth even grabbing, but it was like a split second. Like it was, those like quick dots that come
Yes.
into your head. So it was like that. But I looked back up and what I saw was this ball
Yes.
leaving the room,
Yes.
went out the window. I looked back and my mother she had
Yes.
moved on.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what started this podcast. And I have always wanted to know,
That was her soul.
was that her leaving her body?
Yes, it was. When we die, our soul and our consciousness, which does not reside in an organ in our body, it resides outside. And when that happens, we go back to source. We go back to where we came from. And then when we get to there, decisions are made on whatever our soul contracts were, whether we've met these contracts or if we have not. And if we have not, we can come back and try this again. If we have met these contracts, then we have choices. We can be a dolphin, we could be an extraterrestrial, we could be a rock, we could be whatever we want. And at some point, if you don't want to be in a physical form, you can stay in a non-physical etheric being. And we are immortal. When we leave this body, we are not gone. We are immortal. And it goes on and on and on. It never ends. And there's more than one universe, and there's many, many out there and things of this nature. And I think I told you earlier, if I didn't, I'll remind you or tell you now, they believe in a creator source and they all have souls. So
They?
extraterrestrials and interdimensionals,
So
they believe.
they aren't even, because I've always wondered if by solving one question, are we alone? Say we meet these ethereal, the beings you're
Mhm.
talking to, would we understand, would they know who the creator is? So you're saying no. They
Yes, they know
still,
that they creator source. They call they call it 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 is a very high consciousness. It is non-physical, but it's called the creator source. The creator source is what
so
they
there
are.
is something that
Yes.
there is something that
Yes.
is larger than everything.
Yes. And
Because
it's consciousness, but it could be a collection of all of us, all of our consciousness. I don't claim to know everything, but I know that it's consciousness. So,
hey, it's Tyler, host of Total Disclosure by Pop Culture Corner. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I just want to remind you guys that you can become members and or send super chats, super thanks, and help support the show. You can also check out our new merch shop that does include Total Disclosure merchandise now. Anytime you become a member of the show, you're getting both the pop culture side of things and the UFO side of things. It's so worth it. And there's many denominations you can choose from $1.99 to $2.99, all the way up to $9.99. Guys, we hope to hear from you soon. If you want to reach out to the show, feel free to DM me on Twitter, on Facebook, Instagram, or contact me at ty@thegww.com. Key consciousness. I think the whole key to this is
absolutely, frequency, consciousness, all that.
so
It all plays together. It's a beautiful thing, and it all makes sense. It's just I don't know why it's been so hard for us to figure out. Really.
well. You do you like when people see these craft in the sky?
Yeah.
For instance, you said something earlier that kind of like, it's not depressing. I'm not going to say it's depressing, but you said earlier that when people see these things, it's meant for them.
Yes.
So is there something special about certain people that they see things
Yeah.
and
Well,
others
you're
don't?
more in tune, and your frequency is higher, and that makes you that's your part of your evolution. This is part of your evolution. we don't all do things at the same path. We're all here on different spiritual paths, different goals, different things. So for us, for many of us, we want to know more about, probably on a soul level, we want to know, where, well, for me, I've always wanted to know where my soul goes after I leave here. And now I know I'm going back, because in that reality, all of my family are still alive. And every time I want craft, they're standing around watching me and evaluating me and making decisions on how much longer I'm going to be here, because they didn't want me to come here to begin with for whatever reason. But I'm here and I'm doing it. But I know that my family is there and they're waiting on me, and I know that they're missing me. Yeah.
Is that
And
how the go, because the paranormal side's always kind of, it's kind of been where I drew the line in the sand. Like, I can understand that we're not alone in the universe, but a ghost, like I have a very hard time with that kind of stuff. But there's been more that's convinced me as of late. What is the connection there to the extraterrestrial
I've
with the
seen a ghost
paranormal?
one time, and that's when I was working at Fort Benning, Georgia. And where I was living was off post, and it was close to Confederate battlefields. And, there was a big battle that happened all through there. And I was sitting outside with my German Shepherd dog, and all of a sudden, here comes a Confederate soldier walking across my backyard. And he has his gun with the bayonet slung over his shoulder, and he has like this little bucket pail thing slinging back and forth like a lunch pail, and he
Right.
has his cap on, and he's just marching along, and he takes no notice of me or the dog, and the dog just sits there watching him, and I just sit there and watch. I was not afraid at all, and that was my first experience seeing a ghost. It did not scare me, and we watched it go all the truck by himself all the way across the backyard. And then when he got behind a tree, I stood up and went and walked out to look, and he just disappeared. But
Do you think that that could be more of like an echo?
yes,
Because
like
it
a tear,
seems,
maybe a tear in time. And I
right.
think that perhaps,
Thank you.
say, back in the old days, maybe they were seeing us. It's really strange. It's bizarre. It's like the further you get into this, the deeper and deeper it gets. There is
What
no,
a thought! I've
yeah,
never thought about that.
yeah,
That could be the reason that there's
yeah.
in
We're seeing like ripples or tears
yeah,
in time. And so it's not that they're ghosts, and maybe they're not dead. We're just seeing either the past or the future, you know. Yeah.
right, right. Oh my God, that's such a. Next time you talk to your friends, ask them about it.
So you would
Um,
love talking to my son, because he and I have all these deep, deep
I
conversations.
really,
Yeah,
I could just do it for hours,
yeah,
hours. And
yeah,
so, okay, so when you worked with the army and when you were in that life,
yeah.
did did anything did you ever see anything that was, now that you thought on it, might have been out of place, out of character, anything suspicious? Does the DoD know more than they let on? What are you allowed to say?
Well, whenever we would have pilots, I worked with officers. And so whenever we'd have a pilot, I would ask them questions like, seen anything? Or, have you seen a UFO? Stuff like that, because they're laid back in the chair and relaxed. And and they were just like, oh, we can't really talk about stuff like that. And so I just kind of left it alone. But I tell you what I did experience,
Ooh,
having all these
story
different
time.
soldiers. Oh, break time.
No, I said story time.
Oh, story time. um, I would pick up on different frequencies on soldiers. Some soldiers, I could tell that they were an experiencer like me. I would pick up on their frequency. And it was almost as if I could tell, because they would be laid back and I'd be sitting over them, and I could sense the frequency difference, from just a regular person. But they would almost like blush, because it was like they knew they were exposed, you know,
Right.
yeah. So
And
either they were extraterrestrial or either they were an experiencer like me.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you heard me right. Either
I'm
they were an extraterrestrial or an experiencer like me, a contactee like me,
o
because their frequency was very high.
okay, so, I gotta okay, I gotta ask, are you insinuating that there may be non-humans a part of our government?
I don't know anything for a fact, and I don't pretend to know, but I do know that sitting in the chair, there was a frequency exchange. And I also have to tell you that just here in the area where I live, I've been in grocery stores and come across some extraterrestrials that were just shopping and just getting the human experience. It's not uncommon. They do that quite often. The humanoid looking ones do that because they can
Because
blend
they can
in
blend in,
easier.
yeah.
But
Makes sense.
the thing that always throws them off for me, I can feel their frequency, but they never get the clothes right. They never ever get the clothes right. There's always something off, and they look unusual. And usually they're taller or thinner. There's something about their physique that's
That
different. And
sticks
then
out?
yeah, yeah. But most people they don't look for things like that, so they just blend in.
No, so it's the famous thing, right?
Mhm.
Um, oh god, I can't remember, but it's like the tiger in the background where 99% of people don't see it because
Yeah.
they're not looking for it.
Sometimes if
Um,
it's right in your face, you never see it.
you you'll never even know
Yeah,
because
because
there
it's so natural and blends in, and you just
it's
assume you just assume it's like part of your everyday. But I
yeah,
feel the frequency. I can feel their frequency.
that's amazing. So if you think do you, do you think how many of you are there out there do you think that are consciously aware that they are part of this program, not program,
I don't know, to be honest with
initiative?
you. I used to think there would be a lot, but now the more that I am around more and more, I
How many
think that they
frauds are there?
distance us. I think that we're in distant parts to reach. If they're doing what I'm doing, they have us like in regional areas most likely. And at some point, I feel like it's inevitable that we all meet because it is our frequencies, if we all come together, that will help elevate the planet's frequency. And that's part of why we're here. We are elevating Earth. We are here as a representative pushing towards this, and we are helping to encourage people to raise their frequency, but also when people are around us, we can naturally raise people's frequency just from being around us and stuff. And when we get together, it's pretty powerful.
And
Yeah.
right, and I think for the listener, everyone has this person that they know, that when they're in the room with this person, when they're around this person, when this person walks in to any place they go,
They
that
change the
that
frequency,
they change the attitude,
atmosphere,
the
frequency,
atmosphere.
whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Exactly. And
Mhm.
everybody knows that has at least one of those in their life. So everybody knows what we're talking about right now.
Yeah. And they could be sleepers. They may not come to grips with who they are. You know what I'm saying? Everybody is at a different pace. And just because I incarnated here, somebody else may have incarnated here and they may not fully be have the full understanding of it, even
Right.
though I was told at different parts of my life to get me prepared for this. But that doesn't mean, and they finally had to do a Kundalini awakening on me, like, bam, blonde, wake up, But I'm just saying, everybody's at a different level of getting this. It is not easy. And you have to understand the world around us influences us on how we accept these things too, because we are here having a human experience. We have families, a husband, wife, children, grandchildren, sisters, brothers, family, mothers, and dads, and we want to be loved and respected by them. And sometimes our family is not in favor of these things. and
No.
that makes it really hard. It makes it really hard, and I've experienced that, so I understand. It's not easy to put yourself out there and say, "Hey, this is who I am, and this is what I experience." And it's hard. It's
It
not
is
easy.
hard.
Yeah,
It's not. And
and it's
it,
just like your story. I'm sure you're careful about who you say what your story to.
yeah, let's just say I haven't told the whole thing
Yeah,
to anybody,
right,
nobody.
right.
But there are aspects to it that I'd love to know more about. And you talk about this negative force that's upon humanity, or that has the ability to affect humanity.
Yeah,
Dr. Greer and people that come from that side of this topic seem to think that any extraterrestrial or interdimensional being, or anything, it's always going to be something good. What
I,
is
I
the
believe that
bad?
too. I believe
Then,
that too.
then what
It
is
is
the bad?
what is the bad? Our perception, our lack of understanding what is happening. It is our perception, and that's why I truly believe evolution is inevitable, because that's what it's going to take for humanity to understand and realize there's things around us that we just never saw before, and our understanding of things are based on a lot of the programming from our birth. So we have to learn to open our eyes and be more receptive to things. So
Right,
the
right,
negative beings that are on our planet right now are human beings. Humans are the negative. That the human There's a human dark force that's where the negativity, and they don't want us to ascend because they lose control. And this is also a way that they control our population, our air, our food, our water. Everything has toxins in it to keep our pineal glands shrunk down and to keep us from reaching higher intelligence, which is ascension or higher consciousness,
right.
because
Or
we are easy to control at a dumbed down rate. And so they put all these chemicals and things in all our things, in our media. Everything is negative and owned by certain corporations and elites. And that's because they want to control and manipulate humanity. And they have done that for eons. For eons, we have been manipulated. And this is the turning point. And this is where the extraterrestrials can extend a helping hand. But we have to do our part, raise our
and reach
frequencies.
back.
Yes, yes,
We have to
exactly.
we have to reach we have to reach out back.
And we have to get ourselves out of this negative 3D realm into higher levels.
But how
And
do we do that when how do you how do you do that when how
you,
much of the population is it going to take? Because I mean, we have protests over Palestine and Israel at every
but
college.
see, what I believe too, half of what we see on the media is propaganda. It's not real.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So quit watching it. If
Oh,
they have nobody watching it, there's nobody. It's just like a kid. If you keep watching, or a dog, your pet, and if he keeps doing something negative and you keep giving it attention, it keeps doing the same thing. But you turn it off and quit watching the media. You stop watching it, or be selective about what you watch. Then they have nobody to perform for.
well, I think you see that's the case in. I mean, look at just Tucker Carlson. Um, the guy had the number one rated show on cable, and they fired him, and he arguably has a bigger audience now, on just X.
Yeah,
I see it. I see it all the time. When the podcast people are, and that's the difference now, is people are getting not the news but their news, right?
exactly. Exactly.
So
You be
that's the difference,
selective. Be
right?
selective. Yeah,
So
we have that choice, but people just turn on and listen to the propaganda, and
the,
that is like brainwashing your head.
so do you said okay, I'm gonna hit you with a curveball
Go,
here,
go.
but I just want to make sure that there okay, there's been some stuff that's happened in the recent months, like remember that whole fiasco at the mall in
Yes.
Florida, right?
Yes.
That police presence, or even the thing in Vegas, um, people are more. It seems like the news goes in and out, right, with that
Yeah.
kind of stuff, and people are more concerned with like what Khloe Kardashian's wearing, and it it, it it doesn't. Do you see what I'm saying? Like it seems
Yeah.
like they they
Drama sells, fear sells.
right, it's watch the left hand so you don't see what the right hand's doing.
Exactly.
So do you think some of these events were actually happening?
I think they were intentional, and I think it was not extraterrestrial. If it was anything, it would be more of a cryptid type creature, and I would think it would be probably more of the blue beam type thing because of the a location and because of the very limited range that it was in. You know, it was a controllable range.
Hmm.
But if it were cryptid, then basically that, you know, I have been on spaceships where there are groups of extraterrestrials that are basically explorers that go around looking for cryptids, which in that category would be your what people call chupacabra,
Bigfoot.
Bigfoot, Sasquatch, etc. If these things are not creating havoc, they leave them alone. You know, if they can blend in and balance in their environment. But if they start to create havoc and disrupt humanity, they will go in craft. And that's why you'll hear a lot about people seeing a Bigfoot or a Sasquatch and a craft being nearby. They are going to get it and relocate it, take it back, and either take it to its dimension where it
To
belongs.
another dimension?
Yes, or relocate it away from humanity because they're not supposed to cross that bridge. And if they're behaving and not, that's why Bigfoot doesn't want to have anything to do with us because they're in their own little world and they're not supposed to interfere with us.
And they
And
know that, or they get relocated, so they
yes,
don't want that.
no. So
So
yeah,
we go out there and we try to find them.
yes, we're creating a problem for them.
There's that's why exploring Bigfoot's never found them. The
Yeah.
aliens, they're like,
Well,
no,
they can jump between, you know, like a dimension, and that's
right.
why. And so what was happening was I was an observer. I don't claim to be a super soldier or anything like that. Uh, I was an
Someone
observer,
told
but they
someone
would,
told me I was.
and I was around aquatic beings for the first time, and they were there looking for creatures, and there would be like a heat sensor come up on like a clear screen. And so they would locate it, go to it, contain it, and then take it to a new location, either in the dimension where it belongs or in a different area to keep it isolated from humanity. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's so it just opens Pandora's box
Yeah, it does.
almost.
I've seen
Um,
Bigfoot before too.
so yeah, let's go over more. Let's talk about some of the sightings and experiences you've had personally. Uh, bring me back to one of these experiences.
Oh, this goes deep. I mean, I've done so many. I'm 64 years old. I've done a lot. You know, I went on an excursion to the moon, and some Nordics were piloting the craft, the female gray that I'm bonded with, um, and I love, by the way, and she loves me. We went up there, and basically they let me experience going from craft, walking on the moon, and then getting into another craft. And we didn't stay there very long, but they wanted me to experience it, and so I experienced that. Other times I've experienced, they were trying to teach me how to breathe this fluid. It was like, it wasn't water, but it was like a fluid, a breathable fluid. And they would put me in tanks and hook me up to like some kind of, I guess, a detection for respiration or I don't know, checking, make sure that I'm okay, that kind of thing. I
like
can't
a
think of the
like
word
a
right now.
vitals.
Yeah, vitals, whatever. And so, but they were teaching me to breathe under, like to breathe this fluid and stuff. And I was like in a tank and stuff like that. So, and I do know that sometimes when I am traveling at a great distance, it's a type of teleportation or something, but they do black me out. And the times that I wake up, usually when I wake up on craft, I'm past this nausea, vertigo stage. But it's a lot of times when I'm coming back home, as I'm walking, I'll start to come fully conscious, and I'm in that still that it's a horrible vertigo where you just feel like you've been ooh,
Right, right.
that kind of thing. So I think at some points I must be sent a pretty good distance, and so for whatever reasons, I have to be trained to breathe a fluid, and I have been on like underwater craft, USOs, or that's not what they call them, but underwater and things. So I don't know really why they wanted me to learn to do that, but they did that. And then just other experiences is, like playing around with different gadgets and things, teaching me things, stuff like that. That
So I guess you got to ask why,
yeah,
right? So
yeah.
why? So and
But they're very task oriented. There's not a lot of room for negotiations, or
does
it's
time work the same for them?
like there is no such thing as time. So
It's instruction.
it can seem like I'm there for weeks or days, but really when I come back here, it's hardly nothing. Yeah. In like 64 years of age seems old here, but there, that's nothing. That's nothing. And, my son and I have such active dream life with them. Sometimes, and I'm just going to throw this out there, this is not a fact. This is just, he and I have these deep conversations. So are so real. And sometimes, like, we'll have symptoms from whatever the excursions were that we were in. But anyway, sometimes we think maybe we are in a sleep stasis up there on craft, and this down here is the dream.
Holy shit.
I've often wondered.
Imagine that.
Yeah, we've had that. We think about that and wondered that a lot because
Could this be the simulation?
I don't know everything, but I do know that I have a very active life up there. And I do know that a lot of times I am not in my human consciousness while I'm up there doing things, but I remember things. So that's kind of strange. But
Yeah,
there's all this, it goes deep.
because like
Yeah.
it I feel like I've been the only one to have that feeling that I it seems like something's off. Just the other day. Now
Yeah.
I just I can't say this for absolute certainty,
Right.
but the car behind me. Now I don't want to hear because today there are
Yeah.
driverless
Yeah.
cars.
Yeah.
This was an old Toyota. It would not be capable of having no driver.
Yeah.
And right behind me, it was driving. And it was, I'm looking for the driver. And I swear there was nobody there.
Yeah.
And I was like, I couldn't have my phone because if I would have to turn around and videotape and I probably wouldn't have got it through the glass. But I was actively looking in
Yeah.
the rearview mirror, turning around, trying to like change the angle of the car ever so slightly to see if I could, maybe they were a darker skinned person, so they were just blend. No,
Yeah.
dude, there was no one in the car.
Right. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, there's a lot to this world that we are just now beginning to not only understand, but see. Our awareness is increasing. So that's how I know we're full blast in this ascension. We're full blast into it. It's
Yeah.
happening. Yeah.
Yeah, and just a couple months ago, um, my girlfriend and I, we were making a commercial for one of our sponsors,
Mhm.
and this glowing orb of light just came it, out of nowhere,
Yeah,
out of nowhere. It just lit the forest up, and I had it on video. She saw me pull out my phone and start video recording it.
yeah,
We go back to review it after because we when we got to where the light would have been, it was gone.
yeah.
We went back to review the footage. Nothing was saved except 1 second.
Wow.
One
Yeah,
second of footage just to show myself that it was there,
yeah,
but not enough to prove to anyone that it was
yeah.
real.
That's because that's one of those situations where it was only meant for you, and for her, for y'all. So sometimes,
It's so crazy though.
what I found is when situations like that happen, it is kind of like a reward system.
Yeah.
It's
Oh
like
my
it's
god.
it's like letting you know you're on the right path, and that's them giving you the guidance, you know, and
And it
saying,
could
because
could that be what Christopher Columbus? I know everybody hates him now, but he did write in his journal uh,
yeah, he had an experience. Yeah,
about an experience with an orb.
yeah,
Um, the Israelites that were led through the desert. I mean, come on.
yeah,
Like, I think everybody in the world, no matter what your religion, take a step back. Just realize that we're all telling the same story.
yes,
We're all
yes,
building the same monuments, right?
yeah.
What are we
Let
doing?
me give you an example. Like I was asking at one time, I was asking the interdimensionals why they look so different than just grays or reptilians, Nordics, et cetera, et cetera. And the way they explained it to me, if they were to teleport you and I back to biblical times, okay, so they take us, who we are today, at our frequency, etc., and take us back to biblical days. We walk out in front of these people at that time. To them, we would appear as the shiny ones. We would be looking luminescent and stuff because of our frequency difference between them at that
Them.
stage of evolution and where we are right now. So I think what they're trying to say is that we're all going up a DNA ladder working at being better beings, but we have to go through these different phases to get there. And what seems so rare and different to us now will turn around and be the same things to another generation later on.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And
So
it's kind
what
of like what we were talking about, the ghost and things like that.
right. And why so I live in Massachusetts,
Yeah.
and um everyone knows about the Salem witch trials, right?
Yeah.
Um the listen, the land, that land, it holds that atrocity there.
Oh, yeah. I can imagine. I imagine you could just feel the,
When you I swear,
yeah.
Nancy, when you cross that town line, there
Yeah.
is a feeling that it like tingles your spine.
I can
And
imagine. That is so sad.
but I grew up next to a road that is haunted. It's called Dudley Road, and there's a lot of connections to the witch trials. And I made a movie about it. I'm editing it right now, so that's why like I the paranormal stuff. I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
engaging it more. So I want to know more, but the extraterrestrial agenda, it's the ultimate thing.
Yeah.
It's the I want to know the end game. And
Absolutely. Yeah. There's so much out there, but I don't think we'll ever totally know everything. And anybody that tells you that they know everything, they are lying.
knows nothing.
You know,
So that's what's funny about this topic is
Yeah.
the ones that are often yelling the loudest about things that they know or how you
Yeah.
should interact are the ones that don't want the status quo to change.
That's right, because they're in their own little world and reality and making
Right.
their money.
Exactly. Why would they want the mystery to go away when you pay
Yeah,
them thousands of dollars to do an appearance?
exactly. Yeah.
But I hope this is the first of our many conversations.
Oh, I love it. Yes, yes. And
Yeah.
I'll certainly give you my, after we get off here, I'll give you my son's email and all that kind of stuff. And yeah,
What would you say to the average listener who may not feel that their frequency is high enough? How do you develop those kind of? Do you think that anyone
yes,
can raise their? Obviously, you think that.
yes.
So how does one do that?
Meditate.
Meditation.
Meditate is key. But what I do is I think we should ask our subconscious. Our subconscious knows everything.
So
It
should we
knows.
all take mushrooms?
I don't know, but I've never done that because I
That's
don't.
the only way I know to speak to my subconscious.
Well, I had a whole conversation with interdimensionals and stuff about that. For some people, that works. For me, I'm already past that frequency. I have a direct line with them. I don't need that. But I'm not saying that it's not the path for everybody, but for me, that's not the path.
No, I'm just.
But what I do is I meditate every single day, every single night, and I ask my subconscious to open up into my human consciousness. I give it permission to release information. I can handle it. I'm ready. That you do not have to protect me any longer because our brain and our consciousness does that. It protects us. It puts a boundary. It protects us. So I allow it permission to help me because our world is changing and we need to know the truth. We need to make decisions. And so I ask my inner soul self to come forward and help me. And I think that's what everybody should do is find your inner soul self. Remember why you're here. Remember who you truly are, not the program, not the one, I mean, you still are that person, but also to know who your soul self is. What is really important to you?
When you're alone, right?
Yeah.
When you're alone and
Yeah.
nobody's watching,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Who are you?
Yeah.
Find out who that
And
person
trying
is.
to keep it in a quiet with no distractions. And when I say I meditate, I focus with pure intention. And when I say that, what I mean is not only am I thinking it, but I'm using a muscle in my brain and I'm putting energy into it.
Yes.
To show intention. And that also when I talk to extraterrestrials and interdimensionals, I do that because when I am talking to them, that is the most important thing to me at the time. And I want them to know that.
Right.
I'm not playing a game,
It almost sounds like a beacon.
It is. Yeah, it is. It is a beacon. Our pineal gland is like a beacon. We are like little antennas, but they've dumbed us down and none of it works.
Right. And so that's what I was getting at is, how do we get the masses to open up? And I think that consciousness is the key. Because if you think about it, right?
Yeah.
We're the apex predator or the apex. Okay. As far as what we understand,
yes,
we are the top of
the
food chain for the earth right now.
Mm-hmm.
And the next stage of evolution, because it won't be physical, because nothing is physically, right? It's nothing's challenging us.
That's right. We're not being attacked anymore. Right.
We're being attacked
here. Everything is going to happen up here from here on out. And this is where our technology is leading and where our future computers, future everything is going to be in our consciousness. Yes.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean we're going to turn into AI.
No.
It doesn't have to be that way. That is another human construct. Extraterrestrials and interdimensionals are not AI. So we don't have to become that either.
No,
So
it's
that's just,
more of a tool.
yeah, yes,
So that's
exactly.
yeah, it's a tool
Mhm.
to assist. But
Yes,
like I said, we can definitely chat more because I do like the AI conversation, but it's one to have in itself because it's very complex, but I mean it's ever present because um, it's everywhere right now, and it's being talked about all over. So I'd definitely love to have you back and chat more. But
sure.
where can people reach out, find you, and know what you're doing? You know, spread your seed. Let
Yeah.
us know.
My website is timefordisclosure.com. My Facebook group is Time for Disclosure / We Have Never Been Alone / We Are the Disclosure, because I truly believe humans waking up and understanding who we are and our true potential is the true disclosure here. Um, I am in a lot of Facebook groups. I belong to MUFON. I belong to a lot of organizations, Opus, TESSA, anything that has to do with extraterrestrials, interdimensionals, UAPs, anything that has to do support programs. So I try to keep a lot of those links, and I love to keep all you guys podcasts linked up into the groups so that people can get some good, truthful information. So yeah, anywhere on Facebook. And I haven't really ventured out into other media platforms, but maybe I will, maybe I won't. But I
Yeah.
like what I'm doing right now. Yeah,
Yeah, well, whatever I can do to assist you,
I appreciate that.
I'd be happy to help. And here it is. I look forward to much more collaboration and
That'll be great. Yeah,
networking with you, Nancy, and
thank
you
you.
and your son. Thank you for the work that you're doing, and thank you to the eternal beings that are watching over us and out
Yes,
there, because it gives me hope. It gives me hope. If
we all
anything,
have hope.
yeah. So, everybody out there in the podcast sphere, if you're watching or listening on either YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify, make sure to rate, review the show. It really does help. It gets us to new audiences and kind of jumpstarts the algorithm because they don't like us, not these kind of podcasts. So, we got to get help with your support. And you can do that by just liking and sharing the content. It's free to do. So do it now. Thank you, Nancy. And
Thank
for
you.
everyone else, we'll see you on the other side.